Good morning. I'm just checking if my sound is audible.
Good morning, Honorable Nels. Yes, it is audible.
Thank you so much. Good morning to everyone. See you just now. Thanks. Bye.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, members of the support staff and the secretariat. Good morning also to the DMV delegation, the Castle Control Board delegation. I'm not sure whether we have any DM present before I miss honorable deputy ministers. If they are present, they are also acknowledged. Good morning once again to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members. I would gladly
Good morning, Chair.
good morning, honorable members. I would hope that today we will not have a long meeting. I will give each of the presentation 30 minutes, 20 minutes to 30 minutes, depending how fast they can summarize the annual report so that we give members enough time to interrogate those reports before we finally adopt them.
DM hasn't joined the meeting. Please quickly.
Hello? Yes, so that's what is going to happen. Before I move for the adoption of the agenda, can I allow the Secretariat to share the agenda so that we can fully follow the agenda and adopt it? Secretariat, over to you. Honorable members, that is the agenda before us. It's opening and welcome. Done already, apologies. Consideration of the DMV 2024-25 annual report, consideration of the CCB 2024 annual report, consideration of minutes and closure. Before we move to apologies or adoption of the agenda, I see a hand of Honorable Niels.
I move for the adoption of the agenda, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Niels, move. Okay, this is seconder from Honorable Lala. Thank you very much, Secretariat. Can we go to apologies?
Thank you, Chair. We've received an apology from the Honorable Minister, who forms part of the delegation accompanying the President on state visits to the Republic of Indonesia. We've also received an apology from Honorable Ubabukebukulu, Honorable Nondenja, Honorable Kwekana, Honorable Mbata, and Honorable Mutambi. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can the meeting note all the apologies as received? Those are the apologies. I would now, it's now.
Chair, I've raised my hand with regards to the apologies.
Okay, Honorable Niels.
First of all, Chair, I think we should register once again our displeasure with the absence of the Minister. This absence continues. It's unacceptable. And can we get clarity? Do we actually have in this meeting, a very important meeting where we consider these annual reports, do we actually have no presence of the executive here, or do we have any of the deputy ministers here? It's not clear to me. I haven't been able to go through the list of attendees. I want to know whether the deputy ministers are here. At least they should be here in the absence of the minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your point is noted. Secretariat, is there any clarity in relation to the presence of the deputy ministers?
Yes, Chair, there is Deputy Minister Holomisa present in the meeting.
All right. No, thank you very much. Before we start, I'll then acknowledge Honorable Bantu Holomisa and give over to him to introduce the team from the DMV as well as the CCB. Over to you, Honorable Holomisa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Recording in
honorable
progress.
members. Firstly, I wish to register formally apologies for Honorable Minister Njimutsecha, who has just landed in the early hours of today from Asia, accompanying the President, and as well as my colleague, Deputy Minister Mkungo, who is also addressing this morning another military program. They have, however, conveyed their appreciation to the committee for its continued oversight over the department. Also added to this is that this meeting provides an important opportunity to reflect on the 2024-25 financial year and to assess progress in implementing our programs, particularly in improving the well-being of our military veterans. We know that there are challenges, you are aware about them, but the annual report should now, or the officials of the department, must also tell this committee today what is the plan moving forward and what time frames are they having in mind and so on, and what conferences are scheduled to take place in order to reconfigure the whole setup of that department. As we all know that we inherited a lot of challenges. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Holomisa. It's now 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. We'll give over to the DMV to do their presentation until 25 to 10. Then the CCB will come in immediately after that. Over to you, DMV.
Good morning, honorable members, Deputy Minister, colleagues, and CEO. Our presentation will be done by Mr. Siengo. Mr. Siengo, please take through honorable members. Mr. Siengo.
Thank you. Thank you, DG. Good morning. Is the presentation visible, DG?
It is visible, thanks.
Thank you very much. Let me also pass my greetings to the honorable members, Chair, Deputy Minister, and the DG and colleagues. We are here as directed by the Minister and the DG to present the Department of Military Veterans annual report for 2024-25 financial year. We thank you for this opportunity. I will not.
Mr. Siengo.
Yes, Chair.
For the record, introduce yourself and your title so that we know who's presenting to us. I have alternate members who sometimes don't sit in the committee. They may not know who I am. All right.
Apologies for that, Chair. My name is Sandy Sasiyengo. I'm the Chief Director responsible for research and policy development in the Department of Military Veterans. So,
you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So, as indicated, Chair, I will probably not take the 20 minutes that you had given us. I'll probably take less. But I would want to focus, Chair, because what has happened, Chair, we are presenting this report there's been a lot of events that have overtaken the reports. I mean, there's been a lot of progress that we have made as we have been engaging with the portfolio committee. I think over the last this year. I think the report is it's focused on 24-25. But however, what I would want to do, because I would take the report as probably read by members, but I would want to really also, as the deputy minister has indicated, just focus on as much as I will present the report itself. Also focus on the just to update the members on the developments that have happened in the department, as indicated by the deputy minister. So I would want to skip members the introduction of the department, because it's what we normally present when we come to the portfolio committee. But where I want to focus on now is where we are in terms of what we did as a department in terms of 2024 to 25. The department was allocated a budget of 757 million, 812 million, and we managed to spend 93% of that. And I must indicate that, Chair, if you remember, Chair, when we were presenting our quarterly reports last year, we did indicate that at some point the issue of the pension benefit became a pressure of the department, where we started dispersing the pension benefit. So we began to see, the pressure around that, which really increased the spend of the department, which I think is going forward, which is what we had discussed in the portfolio committee in the last, when we sat with the members of the portfolio committee, that we are beginning to see even now going forward that the issue of the pension benefit it's becoming a cost pressure in the department, because as we are implementing or approving military veterans, or as JPA is approving military veterans for the pension benefit, we are seeing a huge increase in terms of the appetite in terms of that particular benefit. If we were to compare ourselves from 2023-24 financial year and 24-25 financial year, Chair, in 23-24 we had spent about 69% of our budget as a department. We had returned money and to National Treasury, and there was an if you remember, Chair, there was an outcry about that. But I think we have improved, Chair, because for 2024-25 we had spent, we have moved now from 69% to 93% in terms of spend of our budget as a department. Ultimately, Chair, what we would want to do as a department, we are aspiring to spend 100% of what is allocated for us. But we will continue to improve on that, especially now that we are introducing efficiencies. I will speak about even later on in the presentation about the fact that the progress that we are making around what we're doing around introduction of the integrated management system, which now, fortunately, with SITA, we'll find each other in terms of how then we are going to implement that particular system. which is really going to improve efficiencies in the department itself. And I think earlier on in the year, Chair, or last year, Chair, when you did the oversight visit to the department, you did find that we have got a lot of documents that were lying around in the department. And I must indicate, Chair, that we have moved on that, Chair. All those documents have been now scanned, and they've been digitized. Now, as we're implementing the IDMS with CETA, you'll begin to see now that going forward, we are really going to improve in terms of efficiencies, in terms of trying to follow up when military veterans are following up on their cases, and when there's no longer now going to be a manual system. So we're moving really as directed by yourselves, portfolio committee. We're moving ahead in terms of trying to improve efficiencies around the issues of ensuring that the department is automated. I want to go to slide, as indicated, Chair. This slide is quite important in terms of the audit outcomes of the department. In the past financial years, for 2024-25, we as a department, we achieved an unqualified audit opinion. I think it's a big improvement towards indicating to the public that the department is doing good in terms of what it's supposed to be doing, and in terms of the money that is allocated to it. I think it's really progress going forward. And as we move now for 2025-26, our goal really is for us to move towards a clean audit as a department. But of course, there are issues that I think at some point, when we come back to the portfolio committee, we are going to account around some of the issues that AG has found in the department. We have developed an audit action plan, which we are all committed to in terms of ensuring that we clean all the issues that AG has found. Some of the issues, I must through you, DG, and the minister and the deputy ministers, some of the issues are really difficult issues, complex issues that we're trying to deal with. But we are committed to deal with all these matters. So we have developed, I think at some point, I think I saw even in the program of the portfolio committee that we are going to at some point come back and present our audit action plan. Chair and members, in terms of our performance for 20, I will just I want to bring in a 5-year kind of performance for the department. In terms of the performance of the department, we are beginning to see now an improvement in terms of how the department is doing over a 5-year period. We have done an analysis over a 5-year period, and for the year in question, we have achieved 50% of our targets, which is an improvement over the period. And one of the things that we are beginning to do as advised by the executive authority is that we need to look at how we are working as a department. For example, we have been in engagement with the executive authority over a number of times about the things that we do as a department, indicators and the work that we do as a department. And the executive authority is beginning to advise us in terms of what needs to be or is beginning to question us and advise us in terms of what needs to be changed and what the department ought to do, especially now with all the issues that are being raised by National Treasury around funding, and especially now with the capacity problems that we have in the department, when the Department of Public Service and Administration is raising with us to say we can no longer be able to fill in vacant posts. So those are the discussions, hard discussions and difficult discussions that we're continuing to have to say for us to be able then to deliver the services to military veterans. Because I think more and above what DPSA is saying to us, the Department of Public Service and Administration is saying to us about the fact that we are not able to fill vacant posts because of the fact that we don't have an approved structure. Our structure is old. But they are beginning to say to us, in terms of advice, to say there are avenues in government, in terms of the three spheres of government, that we can use as a department in terms of leveraging for issues of military veterans, of which I think those engagements, Chair and members, are engagements that are ongoing to the extent that so far we have signed MOUs with offices of the premiers from Free State, Limpopo, Gauteng, and and we're continuing with those engagements. Even now, we're busy engaging deeply with Eastern Cape now, in order to ensure that we begin then to understand and to follow again the advice that we're beginning to to hear from the Department of Public Service Administration around how we can extend ourselves and be part of broader government in terms of ensuring that we deliver on services of military veterans. Then, Chair and members, I would want really, I don't want to really want to focus on the statistics themselves, but the DM had indicated that we need to provide an update around the issues of the associations. What is the plan going forward? The issue of the South African SANVA. There is a conference that is planned. We have agreed with SANVA that we need to take the associations to conferences. We are busy with that now. As we speak now, Chair, there's progress being made around that because different associations are being taken to conferences in preparation for SANVA conference. We are planning for, originally, when we reported to the portfolio committee, we anticipated that we are going to have this SANVA conference in December, but because of the logistics around the member associations, we don't think that will be possible. But we are planning to have that conference at least early next year. But as we are speaking now, Chair, I can confirm to the members of the portfolio committee that we are busy taking different associations to conferences in preparation for that particular conference. And I did indicate, Chair, that as part of the addressing capacity challenges, which I've indicated, we have been in constant communication with the Department of Public Service Administration around the challenges that we have in the department around filling of vacant posts. And they've been giving us advice around that, even though we still are challenged. It's a communication that it's opened with them. They are saying to us we are not able to do that until we do the structure, of which they are willing to assist. They are sending resources to us in terms of ensuring that then we ensure that we put together the structure that is fit for purpose for the department. And over and above that, the minister or the executive authority has approved and appointed. I think it's one of the things that the portfolio committee has been asking us about, the transversal team that is going to be assisting the department in terms of all the issues then that needs to be all the issues that must support the department going forward, all the problematic areas that must support the department. That team is in place. The individuals have been, or officials or individuals, let me put it that way, have been identified to support then the department and the executive authority in terms of then turning around the department. So the transversal team is in place. I would also like to report on that particular progress with regards to what we have always, I think the minister had pronounced and promised the portfolio committee that she's going to do going forward. So, Chair, I think let me just end there in terms of the progress. As I indicated, Chair, I did not want to go directly to the statistics because I think the report was shared, but I just, as advised by the Deputy Minister, I just wanted to indicate the areas where we've improved and the areas where we're making progress as a department and where we're challenged as a department. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. You still have additional 10 minutes. I'm not sure what we do with that 10 minutes. Is there anything that maybe yourself or the executive authority would want to add before we move to the next presentation?
Chairperson, I would suggest that we give members of parliament more time to ask questions, especially that this report was shaky or was distributed even before we meet this morning. But we thought that we focus on the salient points which have been... Hello? Hello? I think the honorable members should must be given more time to ask questions about this report. They have read it.
Okay, no problem, Honorable Misa. Can we move then to the second presentation before we hand over to members to ask questions? The Castle Control Board. CCB, over to you. Can you share?
Can you hear me, Honorable Chair? Good morning.
You are not yet audible. Can you get closer?
Good morning, Honorable Chair.
Morning. You're welcome.
How are you? Honorable Deputy Minister Olomisa, honorable members, DG, thank you so much for the opportunity to briefly share with you the our annual report. I'll go in there now.
Can you kindly introduce yourself for the record? You know,
I'll come now.
Parliament
I'll do
is
so.
live
So my
on
name.
Facebook, it's live on TV sometimes. So always introduce yourself for purposes of the public, because we're not alone in this meeting. All
Okay,
right.
thank you so much. So sorry for the oversight, Honorable Chair. So my name is Calvin Gilfillan. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Castle Control Board, and good morning again. With me, I have the Chairperson of our Audit and Risk Committee, Advocate Dave Mitchell, and also the CFO of the Castle Control Board, Mr. Mandla Ngewu. I do bring apologies from my Chairperson, Vice Admiral Mkonto, who is now, while I'm speaking to you, is addressing a military heritage conference with Deputy Minister Mkongo just outside in the courtyard, Chairperson. So thank you so much. I'll just want to share my screen quickly. And coming up, Chairperson? My screen not coming up yet?
We can see your screen, but it's far. It's not full. It's still small. Can you expand it?
Okay, I'll expand.
If not possible, send it
Better?
to.
Is that better? Better, Chairperson? Is it better there, this way?
All right. Now it's complete. It's okay.
Okay. Sorry for the glitch. Again, you stay within the 20-minute allocation, Chairperson. It's 9:30, so I will try to be in my time. First of all, the purpose of this discussion is to bring to you the highlights of our 2024-2025 annual report and the annual financial statements, and it's particularly the issues that the Auditor General has brought under our attention and your attention. In a nutshell, Chairperson, and I'd like to start with an executive summary, just in case we don't get through all of the slides, is that this year, indeed, we have give content to our motto for bringing people to the castle and taking the castle to the people. And maybe when I get to particular programs, I will illustrate that. Then our next achievement, Chair, was the fact that we managed to now bring to the castle in this past year 137,296 visitors, which is quite a significant increase in terms of what we have budgeted for, because our target was 130,000. Then the issue of the media. We had a very good relationship with both international and local media. For instance, if we have one flighting on China TV, and during this financial year, I think we had 3 times we were on China Channel 13, which is the international channel, then you realize that you're talking about 200 million people at the time. So it bodes well for marketing purposes. Then we have met all our targets except for one, and I will spend some time on that one target that we've missed. Then our revenue also grew. We always present our revenue as separate from the DoD grant. So the 17.2%, Chairperson and honorable members, is only our own generated revenue, because the grant was staying more or less, is staying the same from year to year. And in fact, it's declining until 2027, 28, when it will be phased out. And I'll also speak to that, and the CFO will also speak to that. Then now, and again, I'm looking out in the courtyard, and later today we will show the delegates. Is about 120 delegates at this historic military heritage conference at the castle. The 12 museums and displays that covering all the elements, pre-colonial, colonial, post-colonial, apartheid. We have now 12 museums that I think covers the inclusive history of our country. Then we have received an unqualified audit with findings, and I'll bring, there's a slide that's dealing with that in particular. And that is pointing out to the next bullet point, which is the 77,000 rand of irregular expenditure that we recorded during this year. But we recorded no fruitless and wasteful expenditure, Chairperson. So we are set up to drive inclusive growth and job creation. My team is now meticulously also measuring the impact of events, conferences, restaurant, filming, etc., so that we see how many jobs is created, temporary and permanent, semi-permanent contract jobs that's created in this heritage site. I won't go into the legislative mandate other than to say that we have presented to the legal team of the department our inputs, and Advocate Mitchell has worked on this meticulously, all our inputs, how we think that the Council Management Act should be amended or reviewed or even scrapped if there's a necessity for that. Then this, I mean, the strategic, the vision and the mission, we've gone through this, so it's read. We get our mandate from the Castle Control Act, Castle Management Act. So our goal is really to get us to international UNESCO heritage status. Then strategic alignment, we do align with the National Development Plan and Vision 2030, and we support all the development goals as articulated in the State of the Nation address, in the DoD priorities, in the Ministry of Defense priorities, and the Forum of South African Director General's priorities. Let me kick in straight into the performance tables. Chairperson and honorable members, I have put in all the tables for completion, but I'll jump quickly to the tables that I want to highlight for purposes of discussion. So bear with me. I've highlighted them. Yeah. So this one, in my introduction, I said this is the one item that caused us not to have a clean audit, and that is the irregular expenditure, and it relates to the 77,000 rand that I've mentioned earlier. So this is the only kind of red dot in an otherwise seamless and I think high level of achievement for the small Castle Control Board team and the board, of course. Now going to the next program is program 2, which is about maintenance and conservation. You would recall that when the homeless people, the informal settlement was at the castle, there was a lot of negative media and public cry out about the state of the castle, etc. But I can tell you now that right now, as we speak, through the CLOC, they are repairing the roofs. They are repairing, the paint project is coming very soon. We are still engaging the city to release the final permit to put up the rest of the perimeter fence. So there's a lot of repair, maintenance, regulatory maintenance, and preventative maintenance work that we taking place. And this is simply, we can't do it alone. We have the full support of the Log Division, and the Log Division, of course, represented by the Regional Works Regiment unit of the Western Cape that we have here in the Western Cape. So we're really honored to do this. And when we come to our sustainability plan, then this part of our work is very important, and the relationship between us and the defense is then critical for us to drive that sustainability. I'll go to the next highlighted table, Chair, and that's the visitors, both local visitors and international visitors. And you will see that we are on the rising. It's not J curve yet. We want to be at the 200,000, 210,000, which is our carrying capacity level. We want to get there, but we're certainly on the right track. And even this year, Chairperson and honorable members and Deputy Minister, we've raised this target by 40,000. So we want to achieve, we set ourselves a stiff target, 170,000, and we hope to get there. Thank you. Then the program 3 is about maximizing the castle's tourism potential. So here we want to separate the grant, because the grant is going to phase out. But I do want to report that in terms of our own revenue, we also seen significant double-digit figures increase in our own revenue. And if we do put our commercialization strategy together and present it to you to monitor and to have oversight over that, I think we will be able to take us into the black. Then program 4, I just want to highlight this slide. It's the, I call in marketing terms, if I put on my marketing hat, we call it below the line marketing value. So it's through media coverage, through radio, social media, online, newspapers, etc. I must say, after that small month or two of negative coverage around the move, relocation of the informal settlement. Most of the media chairperson has been very positive, and it's not we who are saying it. If I have to claim this, I will put another 50 million probably on this, but this is done, scientifically done by an independent media company, which we had a 3-year contract with. Their contract expired, so we have a new media monitoring company that's measuring this now. Then, of course, our work with the student interns. Our chairperson particularly is very, very much into the idea that we must try to increase this performance of student interns, because we sit with UWC, Stellenbosch, CPUT, and UCT, plus Northlink College, Varsity College. So we sit with a lot of young people around here looking for opportunities, whether it's in administration, heritage management, history, archaeology, and certainly we will shift to this side through the CETAs to get more interns here. And then the heritage programs, it's growing and growing as the interest for military veterans. We can also improve this, and I think we will up this target also, Chair. Then quickly, how do we link our performance with our budgets? Obviously, because we are a service industry organization, most of our frontline staff are here, the tour guides. We have just a small kind of in-house office. Most of the people are out, the gardening team. There's a huge chunk of our budget that goes into administration and corporate governance. And it's a big focus area for us to clean that up. And as I say, we are 77K away from doing that. The next biggest budget item is the conservation management, which I talked about, and the wonderful support that we get from the regional works unit of CELOC. And I think we will do better in that area too. The last two, Chairperson, we want to put more in there. If we can make savings in program number 1 and number 2, then we certainly will move much more of the valuable resources into our tourism potential, especially if we're also thinking of putting up accommodation. We're thinking of expanding the restaurants, conference facility. We just have this military conference now in front of us. So we really want you as an oversight committee, not only to have oversight over us, but also to market us in your environment, so that people, if they have small meetings, small conferences, we can host it here at highly competitive rates. We don't have to, the hotel industry, we can't compete with them, but we will definitely give them a run for their money. Then in terms of revenue collection, and that's why I'm saying, if you take the last item before the total away, we're really looking at sales. And with sales, we mean people who pay, adults who pay the 50 Rand when they come into the castle, youth under 18, 25 Rand, and school children in groups only 8 Rand. So there is an area that we can increase. The rental income we can also increase. We're also thinking of more longer term, if we can have some of our sister organizations take up some of the office space, then we have a reliable and a kind of stable income. But we will present to you our full sustainability plan, Chairperson, once the board has taken a strategic break to mull over what we as the management present to them. The governance structures, you don't have to know the portfolio committee. We have this good relationship with you. All of our governance structures are in place. Your audit committee, the portfolio committee, the audit and risk committee. We also now, the admiral also wants now us to have an HR and remuneration committee, a maintenance committee, so that board members, without interfering in management, also express what people out say about the castle and how we can, as management, can improve it, Chair. Then our engagement with the minister also, they were here at the council. Then just quickly, the breakdown of our board by these different sectors, and how they are represented. some board members, the Internal Audit Committee, and their attendance at meetings before the audit and after the audit. We have a fraud and corruption unit, human resources. Chairperson, the reason why we couldn't report any progress in this area is the absence of a point per HR officer who worked in Parliament, worked with the trade unions, worked quite around, and I think I only have good prospects for really grooming and using the human resources that we have now to fill the gaps that we have, so that it's not necessary for us to fill those 3 vacant positions that we were talking about. Administration and personnel. There's our organogram. If you take myself and the CFO out, it's a relatively flat organization. Service delivery orientated, minimalist, and can deliver at a fast pace as the circumstances require. Then I want to go to the report of the Auditor General quickly. As I said, unqualified audit with outcomes. I talked about the 77,000 K that made us then. Mandla can talk about more of the 4 items that caused that. We have no findings. We only missed one of our targets that we set for us. This is the audit report. So if you look at 2023-24 and 2024-25, then we have shown some progress. But Chairperson, as I promised you last year, I want the pink cell to disappear. And I promise that Mandla will tell you with this operation Clean Audit, the audit action plan that the Auditor General shared with us, how we can curb the little SEM compliance issues that's still outstanding. We will be able to have a solid green column there to your left, Chairperson. Then the financial information, Mandla, I don't know if you want to go into the detail. Maybe we'll just leave it for the question and answer time. Statement of changes in assets. Yes. So, Chairperson, yes, we are 9:47. So I don't know if Mandla or the audit chairperson wants to speak a little bit about the finances and our plans to drive us towards sustainability. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to engage the honorable members.
Thank you very much. The CCB and the DMV will now immediately allow members to ask questions. Immediately thereafter, you will then be allowed to reply. Where you can't reply, you are also allowed to make a written submission to the portfolio committee so that we follow up on our link with you. But just for your information, as the portfolio committee, we will send to you all outstanding matters that we have with both of you from the previous annual report to the current. We do keep our record. We have an action list of all items and issues we have discussed with yourselves, including the outstanding ones, so that we can link performance to the budget and the budget to performance with a clear output of what needs to be done. I see the hand of Honorable Niaus. Any other hand from honorable members?
Do you see my hand, Chair?
Okay, Honorable Hatting, I see your hand. Let's start with the 2 hands, then we'll follow up with others. Honorable Niaus, followed by Honorable Hatting. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. And let me first of all ask if we can remove the presentations now, because we are going to deal with both of them, and then we can proceed with our inputs. And I want to thank the Department of Military Veterans for their presentation, and I also want to thank the Castle Control Board for theirs. What I'm going to do, Chair, is to deal with each one of these presentations separately in terms of the questions and concerns that I would like to raise. As an overall concern with the Department of Military Veterans, I would raise the continuing presence of the Acting Director General in that position. As an overarching concern, Chair, we have raised many times with the executive our concern about this acting position that has now dragged on for almost 5 years. From my side, as the economic freedom fighters, we have presented serious concerns about the conduct and the performance of the Acting Director General. Recently, I've tabled to you and all the other members of the committee, and also to the Minister, a 22-page document which dealt with serious allegations against the Acting Director General and dealt specifically with the so-called issue of double jeopardy and why double jeopardy was not relevant in the charges that need to be brought against the Acting Director General. So, Chair, let me not belabor the point, but state the unhappiness of the economic freedom fighters that we still sit here today with this Acting Director General with a dark cloud hanging over her head, and also despite the promises that had been made by the executive. But by now we would have seen the appointment of a permanent Director General for the Department of Military Veterans. Having said that, Chair, let me deal with the issues that I would like to raise concerning all the issues that had been given to us today by the presentation of the Department of Military Veterans. I'm going to deal with it on 7 questions. The first question will deal with audit and reporting integrity. Chair, given the Auditor General's identification of material misstatements, specifically in programs 2 and 3, and also insufficient evidence for key achievements, what immediate steps has the department taken to overhaul this performance verification process, including timelines that we need with full IDMS implementation to ensure data reliability? We've heard that there's now a greater marriage between the department and CETA on this matter. But of course, ultimately, Chair, after all the disappointments, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The second question that I have is on irregular expenditure. With 294.215 million in irregular expenditure still under assessment and no condonements or recoveries to date on these irregular expenditures, can the department provide a clear and phased action plan for investigations, including what referrals have they made to the SIU, and can they provide detail in disciplinary measures that have been taken against officials involved in the 3.6 million in contract variations and uncontracted services? One of the biggest concerns, Chair, that we've raised in the past is the lack of accountability from the side of the department. And I fear that we have not seen a clear preparedness from the department to keep officials that have been responsible for these irregularities actually accountable. On budget utilization, the ESM program has a 20.3% underspent, which translates into 49.72 million. It directly affects the veteran empowerment initiatives, and we have already raised our concern in many previous meetings about the long delays with regards to SANVA. And I really hope that SANVA conference will now be funded and will take place in accordance to the promises that we have received once again today. But my question is, how will these unspent funds be ring-fenced, and how can they be reallocated in the 2025-26 budget to prioritize high-impact areas, such as employment placement, where there is a very low performance, and skills development? Chair, my fourth question deals with service delivery gaps. And the one that I'm most concerned about here is the housing delivery. Why did housing delivery achieve only 51% of targets? Only 115 out of the promised 225 units. And then they also had included 21 ineligible cases, which is now under an SIU probe. And what policy revisions is there in the Department of Military Veterans in order to avoid this ineligible allocation of houses and streamline the eligibility verification and intergovernmental coordination for a faster rollout? I've spoken before during portfolio committee meetings about the many meetings that I have and many messages that I receive from military veterans complaining about a lack of housing allocation. When we get told, and this is a general remark I want to make, Chair, that the Department of Military Veterans is performing better, my question is, how do we judge it? We judge it by the response of the military veterans who should be the recipients of these benefits and should be the recipients of the improved performance. And I base on my experience from responses of military veterans that this performance promise and the propaganda that we were given today again about improved performance in experience is not lived out by military veterans. Then, Chair, I want to ask as the fifth question on veteran benefits delays. In light of what we have expressed as a portfolio committee on defense and military veterans many times as our concerns over prolonged pensions and benefit delays affecting liberation fighters and especially those from the non-statutory forces, how is the department addressing the senior management's inability to prevent recurrences? And what metrics will track reduction in application backlogs? This is critical, Chair, and it goes hand in hand with regards to the continuing problems that we have, the military veterans database. I'm happy to hear that we are told that the database will now be fully digitized. Again, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. My sixth question deals with capacity and delivery to dependencies. With a persistent high vacancy rate and with the problems that there had been in the past with CETA, how can we be assured that the department, in terms of its lack of capacity and its lack of employed full-time staff in the senior places will be able to deliver on capacity. And lastly, Chair, I'm going to deal with the issue of consequence management, and of course it relates also to the opening remarks that I've made about the Acting Director General. The Auditor General of South Africa recommends stronger PFMA compliance and asset reconciliations. There is, for example, and I'm just using this as an example, the issue of the pothole machines and the tablets that continue to be unresolved and continue to fester there as irregular and wasteful expenditure. What progress had been made on these since September 2024, when there had been referrals to the SIU? And how will the department report quarterly? And I want to emphasize, we need to receive quarterly reports as the Portfolio Committee on Defence and Military Veterans on fruitless and wasteful expenditure recoveries. Overall, Chair, the Department of Military Veterans suffers from a lack of leadership. And the concerns that I've raised and the 7 questions that I asked this morning, which all relate to statements and concerns that I've raised in the past ad nauseum over and over, relate to this lack of leadership and lack of clear direction. This can only be properly addressed if there is a will from the side of the political leadership, the minister and the deputy ministers, to act decisively, to deal with the issue of the long-standing acting position of the Director General and the many other acting positions within the executive of the Department of Military Veterans. Chair, I'm now going to move on to the presentation that we have received from the Castle Control Board.
Chairperson, just a point of order. Chairperson, Honourable Niels is now approaching 13 minutes. I know in the past you restricted some of us after some members used an exceptional long time for speeches and questions. Can you perhaps give an indication how much time do you allocate to each member, or is it indefinite? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Hatton. Honourable Niels, can you also give chance to other members also to ask? I would allow you to summarize so that we move to the next member.
Okay, Chair. I thought that we have adequate time in the light of the quite short presentations, which I think was quite thoughtful from both the Department of Military Veterans and the Castle Control Board. But I do take the point that one should not overstay one's welcome when asking these questions. So let me be very quick and short on the issue of the Castle Control Board. I was going to state anyhow the overall position of the economic freedom fighters, that we do not support any funding from government, and especially not from the Department of Defence, which is under severe austerity control and facing severe financial problems, to what we consider to be a colonial relic. Let me also state that what had been said here today in the presentation, that the Castle Control Board wants the castle to be recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is in principle opposed by the economic freedom fighters. I sincerely hope that the grant that the castle receives from the government, from the Department of Defence, will indeed be phased out within the targeted 2 years, if this place is to exist at all, let it exist on its own financial devices and the revenue that it can generate through its own actions, and not take money away from the Department of Defense. Lastly, Chair, I really want to question whether the presentation that we have received about the apparent massive outreach that the castle has had also on the media platforms and social media is correct. I do not believe that it is reasonable and even possible to say that you've reached 1.92 billion people, which is a very sizable proportion of the whole of the world's population. Well, let us be reasonable in what we claim that what we do. And Chair, overall, I would like to see this castle, the control board, not to again appear before us as a committee and not to receive further funding within the set time frame from the Department of Defense. The castle is a relic. It should not be funded by government. It harks back to colonialism, and the EFF does not support any funding for the castle. And we will obviously, once these reports are presented in the National Assembly, make that point also crystal clear. I had other questions about financial management of the castle, but I will not proceed with it. Thank you, Chair. I'm handing over to the next person to ask questions.
Thank you. Honorable Atin, followed by Honorable Hala.
Thank you, Chair. Just for the record, that was almost 17 minutes. Chairperson, starting off with the Department of Military Veterans. Yes, the department must certainly be applauded for the improved performance as indicated by the Auditor General. And a lot of emphasis was then put on the improved performance by the presentation of the department. However, not a word actually was, or not enough was said about the continuation of the critical flaws in the Department of Military Veterans. For instance, for the third consecutive year, there were, on each one of the following headings, there were material irregularities found in the annual performance report, expenses management, strategic planning, and very important, also in consequence management. Now, this becomes very, very important if one look at, for instance, at the irregular expenditure incurred by the Department of Military Veterans. There is a recorded irregular expenditure of 10.44 million, and it's largely linked to non-compliance with benefit regulations. Also expenses incurred without valid contracts and violence exceeding. The violence exceeding the Treasury thresholds. And most important, the lack of consequence that continues to exist. It appears that financial management or mismanagement can happen in the department with impunity. Not a single of the findings of previous years of unauthorized, irregular expenditure and fruitless and wasteful expenditure were actually investigated. There were no consequence management and no money funds were recovered. And now, this is actually a culture of entrenched mismanagement that is actually being continued year in and year out. I would like to get a response. What is being done about these findings? about fruitless and wasteful, irregular, as well as unauthorized, obviously the accumulated amounts that accumulated over a number of years. And Chairperson, I would like that a report on each one of these findings of the Auditor General be tabled at the Portfolio Committee so that we can see what progress is actually being made on this. The next very important thing that's also reported is the integrity of the military database. Another year of promises, we get nothing. Now, without a proper funding, functioning database, which should be linked to other departments such as Home Affairs, South African Medical Health Services, or Treasury, the department simply cannot confirm whether beneficiaries are alive, eligible, or even duplicated. Or even if of the beneficiaries are very wealthy people. I have been informed from sources within the department that there are former and current MPs and former and current members of provincial legislatures that are beneficiaries of this fund, which is actually intolerable. I would also like to know the absence of the means test. Is this going to be addressed, and what is the impact? Is there any indication what the impact of the absence of a means test is on the department? How many? Obviously, there are many people, I've been told, that are very wealthy and or their relatives or dependents are beneficiaries of the Department of Military Veterans, but then also in being there and receiving benefits, they are denying other people who are really suffering from benefits. I think we need a deadline approach on the database and the integrated data management system, and when it will happen, because we are literally losing millions through the absence of a reliable integrated database. Moving on to pensions. I understand that at this stage, although we have the 4,378 pension beneficiaries at the end of the financial year, I believe that there are approximately now 4,500 military veterans receiving these pensions. But I believe that there are 2,000 approximately of military veterans waiting to access their pensions who have been approved but cannot access and cannot receive their pensions because of the lack of funding. And I would also like to get an indication or what the confirmation on that, if that is truly the case, and adding on to that, the assessment of and evaluation of pension applicants at this stage have been suspended due to the lack of funding. I'd like to know whether that is true and what is the whole story about it. Three things that I'm asking. How many are receiving at present? How many have been approved but cannot receive it because of lack of funding? And how many are still in the pipeline to be assessed and to be either accepted or rejected for military pensions? Then I would like to know, in the previous financial year, the department ran out of funds to pay military pensions. What is the situation this year? Will there be adequate funding for the current beneficiaries to receive their funding up to the end of the financial year? In other words, up to the 31st of March 2026. Chairperson, then I would also like to get more clarity on, and this is something that we have actually been inundated for, the access to medical support. what is the situation there? Similar question. Are these members receiving it? How many in total are now being approved for that? How many on the waiting list? And how many that are approved but still may not receive these benefits? Then, Chairperson, moving on to the Castle Control Board. Yes, Chairperson, I've been on oversight visit to the castle, and it was a very valuable visit. I was taken through some of the 12 museums, and I see the excellent work that's being done there. Chair, however, I have the concerns, and perhaps the City of Cape Town, which I believe may also be present in this forum, who actually is also a very important role player in the success of the castle as a main tourist attraction, can also come in. I am concerned about the following. Firstly, the lack of funding to the castle. If one look at the maintenance at this building, one of the prime heritage sites in South Africa, certainly the oldest, there is a serious need for proper maintenance. The current funding is simply not adequate. We fully support the progress being made in the application to UNESCO on this issue as a heritage site. But then I have a concern, and this is about the phasing out of proposed phasing out or intended phasing out of the financial support from the Department of Defence to the Castle Control Board. I would like to get clarity on that. Has a decision been taken? Obviously, we will move to the opposite, more funding. If one do not honor our heritage from wherever it comes, pre-colonial time, colonial time, apartheid time, post-apartheid time, which is actually being done by the Castle Control Board and in the castle, then without a history, without a heritage, a nation is really very, very poor. So, and perhaps we can also get an indication if there are negotiations on the way to augment the financial support, statutory support from either province, City of Cape Town, or Department of Defence to address this critical issue. I also got a concern about the reported financial irregularities at the Castle Control Board, and it all relates to procurement, which is actually the feeding place of entrepreneurs and people who actually are preying on the taxpayer. So the Auditor General reported that goods and services were not procured properly, and there were not effective and appropriate steps taken to collect all the revenue due as required by the PFMA. And there are also some deficiencies in compliance monetary controls to adhere to legislation and treasury regulations. That is a concern, and obviously the Castle Control Boards are, I think, that our best entity that we have, including the two departments, but still it raises concern. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ate. Is there anything that you forgot? Honorable Ate?
Just repeat your question.
Is there anything that you forgot? Honorable Niaus is proposing that we stop the funding to the Castle Control Board
No,
And that they must
obviously,
not appear.
Chairperson, I can just say that the viewpoint of Honourable Neos has been repeated very times. We are opposing that. A country without historical sites, without heritage, is a very poor country. I totally oppose that and in fact call for more support for the castle. Thank you.
Your point is noted, Honorable Hala.
Chair,
Good morning, Chair.
Chair, sorry, as a point of order, I take objection that you solicit answers from other members on recommendations that have been made. I do not accept this.
Okay, no. Look, Honorable
You are soliciting responses specifically in order to service the position that you hold, Chair. That is not objective chairing.
No, I get your point. The point I wanted to raise is that I know in the past we did not agree. So I wanted to sense and get an understanding of the meeting, whether are we still together or are we having a new point. So that's what I was doing. Any member can raise whatever views they want in the meeting. I'm not opposed to that. If it looks like that, my apologies. But I was not necessarily setting you up against other members.
Thank you for the apology, and please don't do that, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, Honorable Hala.
Thanks, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, TM. Good morning, officials. Chair, mine is on benefits.
Just before, Honorable Harting, can you switch off your camera? Okay, you can proceed, Honorable Hala.
A lot has been said by the honorable members on benefits. Honorable members will recall that in the previous 6 meetings with DMV, we've been saying that they must give us the exact numbers. I heard the chief director saying that he's not going to go on statistics. We want the statistics per province. Because after getting these statistics, the next thing that we're going to ask from DMV is to give us name list of the benefits that were provided per province. So I'm saying, Chair, in the next meeting, they must come up with the exact numbers per province, not just to give us a summary. 2, the chief director was saying that they are preparing for conferences for the associations before the Samba conference early next year. Which are those associations that are going to the conferences now? With CCP, as I was reading your submission, you mentioned that you received a checklist from AGSA so as not to repeat the very same mistakes you committed. My question now is, no, it's not a question. I only hope that you are sticking to what the AGSA has given you so that you, in the near future, you perform better than we have done in the past. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Plakis.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members and guests to the committee. Chair, first, my first question will be linked to what Honorable Hala have asked now on the issue of preparation of conferences. The department say they are preparing for conferences, but our understanding is some have been dissolved. What associations are they engaging, and how are they engaging them, and how many of them have they already prepared to go to conference? Admit the fact that Samba is challenging their dissolvement. So I just want a follow and a rider on what Honorable Allah was asking. The second one also on what Honorable Harting was raising, the issue of the integrated membership system have been coming on for a very long time, Chair. I would like to get progress on how far are they with CETA on the development of this program, and how are they helping engaging on bringing it together into a conclusion. Secondly, how do they mitigate the risk on the credibility of the database currently, Chair, in the absence of an integrated database? How do they measure the credibility, the security of the database? Remember when we were there on the site visit, forms were lying in offices, in boxes. How are they mitigating the risk and the credibility of the database as they have it now, Chair? This transversal team, Chair, that has been, I think, is good progress. It's something that we've longed for, but it said it's done. Would have liked to say when was it done, what work have been done, what terms of reference have been put in place, who is the people that are serving on that transversal team. Chair, I would have liked us as the committee to get that so that we can monitor it for future purposes. That is the third one, Chair. Then I also want to Chair, there was this outsourcing of the internal audit functions in the Department of the Military Veterans. What mitigated processes have been put in place so that they strengthen their own internal process, and maybe in the following financial year they will be ready to deal with it in themselves, and we get rid of this ongoing contractual matters that is actually supposed to be inside. So I think I also want to have that kind of answer on how far are they, what matters have been put in place for them to be ready in the next financial year in dealing with their own internal audit as the department itself, as DMV. That is on DMV. On the Council, Chair, the Council is saying that understanding that in the next 2 years, funding are kind of being subsided from our side to the Council. Do they have a sustainable plan in themselves for the future, and have they already begin to engage relevant stakeholders on how are they going to sustain the funding in the Council itself and the Council board? Do they have any plans on that? And then also on the issue that they only spend 62,000 on the marketing themselves and advertising themselves as the board, but they are claiming to have had through media outreach and media promotions 192 potential billion 1.92 billion feet people moving through the Council, of potential moving through the Council. Can they just, with that numbers, can they just tell us how did they make that possible as the Council itself? Chair, that is basically my questions to the presentations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I would also like to come in on the following points that the DMV, can they be specific? When are they going to complete the process of the database verification? Because we can't have an indefinite arrangement. We started last year on the 9th of July as the portfolio committee. From 9th of July last year, we were promised that the database will be concluded before the end of the financial year, which was this year, March. We're now going for another March next year without completion of the database. the database being electronic, integrated, and with some features of artificial intelligence, which is linked to the banking system, to Home Affairs, population register, so that we can verify others. The issue of the means test, we raised it also last year because we know that there are some of our members who are now business and tenders who are propelling those things, and they are sufficiently covered by tenders, and others are in business, are millionaires and billionaires. Why would they still benefit from DMV? Why would somebody like me, who's a member of parliament, also benefit from DMV? Because DMV is supposed to help those who are less in the ladder of society, but have made a contribution through their sacrifice in the military operations of both statutory or non-statutory forces. Why is it that some of us who can afford are still being paid the means tests? What is your link with social development to check whether some of the beneficiaries we pay, are they not double dipping with social development? That integration of systems needs to be understood so that we don't deal with the duplication. The payment of outstanding pensions to members, Honorable Niaus, Honorable Nahateng, Honorable Hala, and Honorable Blackies raised when are we going to complete the payment of pensions so that we don't have money of pensions going back to Treasury, whilst we have beneficiaries who are not receiving what they can get. And the other point is in relation to, we hear you of the SAMVA conference, but there's a court order in the SAMVA matter. How far are you in ensuring that we comply with the court order in terms of the holding of the SAMVA conference? We saw now recently in social media, MKLWV was in your offices raising issue of the outstanding benefits, raising issues of you supporting the accounts of the act, which we are not doing. I'm not sure how far it's other associations in terms of their conferences. There is no proper program. It clearly shows that there is no proper coordination between DMV and these associations. Either you're not in speaking terms, or you speak through social media, or you communicate through the media. You are not talking to each other. What is the situation? Are these conferences going to be held or what? Because we can't play the role of association as portfolio committee. Members are sending their complaints directly to us. We can't even refer them to associations because they are not there. And if they are not there, it means will forever become the buffer between the department and the members as the portfolio committee, which somehow compromises us, because it's an interference for me to refer any member to you. You are supposed to speak to the executive. You are supposed to speak to association, not speaking to us as portfolio committee in terms of, we must just ask oversight question over you. But so far, we are also becoming operational. So I don't think it's the matter that we need to do. On the Castle Control Board, I would also ask on alternative funding. Is there a relationship between the Castle Control Board and National Lottery Commission in terms of possible alternative funding? Is there a relationship between the Castle Control Board and the International Arts and Heritage Department? Except our having applied to UNESCO. I know UNESCO is funded by a number of foundations for preservation of heritage and arts. Is there a relationship between the Castle Control Board and some of the global heritage foundations? For instance, the Greek one is the one that is leading in the world with the police unit and detective unit responsible for heritage in Greece. But it's a matter that we can discuss for another day. Is there a relationship between ourselves and those ones? The issue related to consequence management, we're now going to take over from you as the DMV, as the Castle Control Board, as ARMSCO, as the NEL, as Department of Defense. We've called in the SIU, we've called in the Hawks, we've called in the Board of Inquiry on the 12th of November to come and ask them what is happening with all cases related to us. We've also asked the AGSA to refer all matters of material irregularity so that we hand them over to the law enforcement agencies, because we cannot mimic criminals and the criminal element anymore in our government. For me, it's even worse. My party is synonymous with corruption and crime, and it's something that noble people that sacrifice their life did not do it for us to live a jacuzzi lifestyle at the expense of the taxpayer or even ordinary poor South Africans. So that we will not accept. But it's a discussion for another day. Let me hand over back to you. In questions where you cannot answer us today in this meeting, say you'll refer them to a written answer, because I'm sure the program of conferences would be there. The program of the statistics would need the detailed information, which also must be written, because some of you forget that you are under oath as you appear before the portfolio committee. Anything you do here or lie, you can be held liable, including ourselves as members or ministers, can be dismissed for misleading Parliament. It's a serious offense. We need to remind you that when you are talking to us, you are under oath. We are another arm of the state in terms of the Constitution of the Republic. We have the same power as the executive, the same power as the judiciary. So in terms of our rules, to lie to us, you may just be in unnecessary trouble. Let me give over to the DM Olomisa before the department come in. Over to you, Honorable Olomisa.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members, as well as the officials of the department. Mine will be a general comment. Recently, I was fortunate to have been part of a cabinet lekgotla. Normally, such meeting is attended by the cabinet members and DGs, so the deputies were invited to participate. How I wish that the presidency or at least the Department of National Treasury can come and brief Parliament or portfolio committees on what programs we have endorsed to be implemented in order to turn around the situation in the country. It is not the Department of Defense and Military Veterans only which has a problem of personnel, misuse of state funds, and so on. Everything seemed to have fallen into pieces. But we focused on building a state that delivers. That was the theme of the lekgotla. And one of the important resolutions or point we have identified was to say rebuilding the state requires not only replenishing the ranks of the public service with capable personnel, but reforming its systems and processes to shield them from abuse. You know very well how the people could not in the past identify or differentiate between the state and the party. And to the extent that some of the powers of the DGs have been usurped by politicians, yet the PFMA doesn't allow that. there's opaqueness when it comes to the accountability or accounting officers. Even the issue of the DMV, when you analyze it properly, you will find that the DMV department is in this mess because the people, when they were appointed, they were just deployed. Oh, give so-and-so, we know, Mdagabani, Nigenai. But the post where he or she is occupying requires certain qualifications. So I hope that...
Honorable Olomisa.
Okay.
Honorable Olomisa, I'm just interjecting you to say, Mnikeze ache naye ubusela lento. We can encourage it in a democratic state.
Thank you. What do we say? Repeat yourself.
No, I'm just saying, Mnikeze ache naye ubusela lento. We can encourage it in a democratic state.
Yeah, so at least the Lekgotla meeting, I hope you can be briefed because we agreed that in turning around the situation, Department of Security class, here are your time frames. By end of October, by end of November, or by January, you have to produce a plan to turn around the situation. So not just to theorize. So, but I guess that you have powers to summon whoever is responsible in the presidency to come and brief you about how do we move forward. Because all this, Honorable Carl Niehaus, you know it, my brother, that this is not what we fought for. Not at all. The struggle has been hijacked, and we have to move and turn around the situation quickly. But anyway, the technical side of your questions, the officials must respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Olomisa. We'll now give over to both the DMV and the CCB to answer members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I omitted to advise that the department is with the chair of the audit committee, given that we are discussing the annual report. I will invite Ms. Sotondoshe to deal with issues of pension and housing, Ms. Murolo to deal with issues of health, Mr. Matsafu to deal with issues of database, CFO to deal with issues of finance. I thought DM would also deal with the transversal team, but I will take that given that he has not dealt with it. And the issue of the conference, we will submit in writing the road map to the SANVA conference. In that order then, Ms. Sotondoshe, through you, Chair.
No problem. We can proceed.
Thank you, Acting DG. Good morning, Chair and members. Good morning, Deputy Minister Olomisa. DG, I'm not sure if it's my audio. The volume is very, very low, so I may not have heard all the questions from the members. However, I think probably after the meeting, if there's anything omitted, we would get the questions in writing so that we can respond fully, so that we don't misrepresent the department. I'll start with housing. On housing during the previous financial year, we only managed to deliver the 114 houses. I think members are aware that DMV does not have the mandate to build houses. So we are in partnership with the Department of Human Settlements since the inception of the program. And we have a dependency on them to build the houses in the provinces for military veterans. So as DMV, we are coordinating, one, the process through which military veterans can access the benefits. In terms of our regulations, all applicants need to apply. So they do apply to the department. We process applications and share the information with the Department of Human Settlement, who then undertake the process to do a second layer verification in terms of the regulations, and then houses are built. The Department of Human Settlements has and is still continuing to experience challenges on the ground, especially at municipal level. Some of the challenges relate to unavailability of serviced sites. You find that the beneficiaries are waiting for houses, but the site that has been identified is not serviced. That causes delay. Secondly, you find that some of the houses that need to be built are built in rural areas where they are scattered. They are not in one area. And then the contractors that get appointed by the province abandon some of these projects because they are saying some of these houses are too far. You find that the transportation of materials and workforce becomes too costly for the service provider, who must travel maybe between 30 to 40 kilometers between the houses that are being built. And they say it's not worth building these houses. There are provinces where there's also illegal invasions, which the Department of Human Settlement is trying to get these issues resolved with other stakeholders. But we equally have challenges where military veterans relocate or move from where they initially were in terms of when they applied. And when they are now looked for by Human Settlement, they cannot be traced because in terms of our database, we do not get regular updates where military veterans have changed their details, whether it's where they stay or their contact details. They are not updated in the department. So you find that we struggled to trace the beneficiaries for them to be able to complete the process at Human Settlements. We also have instances where in the provinces, you find that there are communities that are not welcoming the building of houses for military veterans. And that also creates a problem where now there must be negotiations to say, instead of building these houses for military veterans near the communities, then they must be found or they must be built in areas where there are no amenities. You find that the houses are built, there's no school, there's no shop, there's nothing. It's like we are trying to put military veterans outside the areas where they stay. We also have challenges where you find that, which is some of the criminal activity that is happening, where the service providers are held ransom by criminal elements, and you find that there is a risk of safety of either the workforce or even officials of government to check what is going on to make sure that the housing project is continuing, which we hear in the media, they are called construction mafias. So there's quite a range of issues that are affecting the program. However, we being the two departments are in constant discussions to see how we can fast track this program in collaboration with other stakeholders, especially at the local level, municipal levels, with support, obviously, from law enforcement agencies and those that are on the ground. one of the developments that we have had between the two departments, we are embarking on a process where those military veterans who are already approved for housing but have not accessed housing, we have received information from the provinces at human settlements that the current backlog, which is approximately 1,700 houses, of those that are already approved and waiting for houses, that it's going to take plus or minus 3 years for these houses to be built. The provinces have indicated budget challenges also for them to be able to complete these houses. So the time frames range from 3 to 5 years, in particular Northern Cape, as we know the challenges of the vastness of the province. Others provinces have said they can take 2 years. Others have said they can take 3 years. So we are working together with the municipalities to see how we can fast track and close the gaps and some of the challenges in the delivery of houses. It would be important for the members to also note that as the two departments, we are reviewing the housing regulations. We are also reviewing our partnership agreements, which is the MOU and our SLAs with the provinces. However, there is also a dependency that we need to also review the current act, which I think we have as a department raised challenges, that there are challenges that we are faced with regarding some of the provisions of the act, and these are impacting on all the benefits in terms of delivery. So, but in terms of housing, we are on board with the Department of Human Settlements, and we are hoping that within the next 3 years, we would see significant improvements, and hopefully, as it has been suggested over time, that we should not be expecting that this program will continue forever. There must be a time where we round up this program, where we would have housed all those who are in need of housing. When it comes to pension, before I forget, one of the things that are pushing us to review the regulations is the fact that we need to review our current threshold, the value of the means test or the threshold of the means test, including the value of the benefits, because since it was adjusted in 2015, it has not been adjusted from DMV side, and it is important to note that over the years, the construction of houses has escalated, and it therefore means that we also need to upscale our benefits to make sure that we are in line with the demands on the ground. In terms of pension, as per the annual report, we did deliver 4,378 pension recipients in the previous financial year. This was against the backdrop of having shortage of funds, as the report indicates that the pension has increased, the pension applications have increased beyond what was expected. And the department did try, we had engagements with the National Treasury. We tried to in-source within the department to source additional funds. However, because we could not violate the PFMA, as we know that the Military Veterans Act indicates that the minister must deliver benefits in line with available resources. The department then, through engagements with JIPA, who is our disbursement agent, we then took a decision that because we do not have sufficient funds, we should not pay new applicants, because that would be irregular in terms of the allocation that we had been given in the previous financial year. We then agreed that we are going to continue paying the annuitants, which means those that had already been approved to continue receiving the pension. And as such, we have continued from the previous financial year up to date. Even the current financial year, which probably the CFO will speak to the issues around finances, we are still facing the same challenges because the demand is continuing to increase. As we speak, as at end of September, JIPA has received to date 24,900 applications. Because of the decisions that we took not to continue paying new applicants in the absence of sufficient funds, they finalized about 7,900 applications. They have approved 6,500 applications. In total, they've paid 4,300 plus applications. Those that have not been approved for various reasons, mostly they are receiving other state pensions above the military veterans pension. It's 1,400. We still have a total of 2,900 applicants who were approved in the previous financial year, but they have not been paid because we do not have the funds. Therefore, the total number of applications that still need to be finalized, it's 16,900. We have not stopped as a department to engage National Treasury. We undertook a process to review our regulations, which were gazetted in July for public comment. After that process, all the comments that were received and inputs were consolidated and presented to the executive authority. And as we speak, we have prepared a submission that is en route to the executive authority for ratification for publishing of these pension regulations, which members may be aware that the current regulations of 2023 did not have means test, and JIPA, as they were implementing the benefit, they experienced a number of challenges. One being the fact that there is no means test, and we are very much aware that the Act makes provision that where the benefit is non-contributory to the state, we must implement a means test to make sure that only those that are eligible receive the benefit from the state. Thus, the review of the regulations is now inclusive of the means test. There's also other gaps that we identified, that some of the applicants who are military veterans by virtue of the definition, however, they are employed, some of them, some are contributing to pension, which the state is also contributing. So we have tried to tighten those gaps to make sure that the benefit will go to those that are really, really deserving in terms of being needy and destitute. So we have engaged our executive authority also for intervention with the Minister of Finance, because we have tried our level best as the department internally to take funds from other areas like goods and services, cutting out on issues like traveling and accommodation, towards pension, and also where we could in other areas in the department. However, we still find that it is not sufficient, because if you look at the numbers that are coming for applications versus that may qualify, the allocation is that we have with National Treasury is not enough. But we are not going to stop until such time that when these regulations are implemented, we continue to monitor going forward. We've had to also realign for the MTEF process, realign our annual targets to the allocation that we get from National Treasury to make sure that we do not find ourselves having irregular or unauthorized activities as far as this pension benefit is concerned. We are receiving queries which we do escalate because DMV is not able, due to security reasons, to access the JIPA system, but we do get queries and we escalate them and they get responded to. We have conducted a media briefing with a communication that has gone out. It's still available on our website regarding the challenges that we have as a department on funding on the pension benefit in particular. But that does not mean that we have sufficient funds for all the benefits. That's why we have undertaken the review of the regulations to strengthen the implementation of means test and other exclusions to make sure that this pension benefit is affordable and sustainable for the state. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, DG.
Ms. Murolo, please come through on health.
Hello. Can we get
Chair, Ms. Murolo is supposed to come in on health issues, but given that she has not come, please allow me to invite Mr. Matsafu to deal with issues of database. Mr. Matsafu?
Acting DG, I would request that in the absence, we proceed.
In the absence of Mr. Matsafu, can I invite Mr. Siengo to deal with issues of transversal team? Mr. Siengo? In the absence of Mr. Siengo, can CFO take on issues that relate to finance?
Acting DG?
Yes.
I would request that whoever is available can present, but those ones you need to get them, because I'm afraid as the chair I'll be misleading Parliament about your members answering and being unavailable for Parliament. It's a serious offense in terms of our rules. Can you get them to come in? Let's hand over to the CFO.
Thank you, Chair. Good day, members of Parliament as well, and to the DM, DG, and the colleagues on the platform. Just to take over from where Ms. Otondoshe left in terms of the Military Veterans Pension, Chair. For the current financial year, Chair, we do not have sufficient funds. we were allocated 149 million, which was going to sustain us until mid-October. We are continuously engaging the National Treasury in terms of the current funding challenges. In the meantime, internally, we have then reprioritized some activities as was stated by Ms. Sotondoshe. That was mainly within the program 2, reprioritizing funds, mainly from housing and normal goods and services, as well as in addition, then we have reprioritized funds from key services such as education support and skills, so that we perform environment towards program 2 where military veterans benefit is located. However, if we were to then try and reprioritize these funds, Chair and members, it means that it is the repeat of what happened in the previous financial year of us exceeding the threshold of 8%. We are working with Treasury then, if we were to exceed the 8% and how then that can best be regularized rather than it being a repeat audit finding in terms of it being irregular expenditure. But however, Chair, I must state that we will still have a shortfall of around 60 million if we were to pay until the end of the financial year, because the reprioritized funds are not sufficient and will never be sufficient. We are still, again, in consultation with National Treasury in sourcing those additional funds, Chair and members. Then that takes me to the issue around irregular expenditure. As noted by the honorable members, there was a reported 3.5 million relating to the previous financial year, Chair, being irregular for us having to exceed 8% in contradiction to Section 43 of the PMFA. The department was faced with either incurring unauthorized expenditure, which is actually more of a serious offense rather than irregular expenditure. Why we ran short in the previous financial year, Chair, again, it's because initially we were appropriated with around 159 million. However, during the adjustment of estimate of national expenditure, AENE, we were reduced by a total of 54 million, of which 48 million was a reduction on military veterans pension. However, we attempted to then request Treasury to enforce that reduction on other areas, as opposed to enforcing 48 million reduction on military veterans pension. We were unsuccessful on that. So meaning that our budget for pension was reduced to around 117 million, whereas the total required for the year was around 206 million. And hence then we had to make do and be flexible within the law, and then taking the offense in the form of irregular expenditure rather than unauthorized expenditure, Chair. Otherwise, unauthorized expenditure is a bigger offense, and it causes disrepute to the portfolio committee, ministry, and the department. So it was a risk that we had to take, which then we thought it was a better offense as opposed to unauthorized. And also then speaking to the other areas of irregularity in the same financial year, Chair, As already reported, even in our annual report, Chair, on note 22 on the annual report, page 157, we did have a misalignment between the policy, which was revised, where the threshold was increased to 40,000. Meanwhile, the regulated benefit of burial support was still at 25, which was not then adjusted accordingly through the parliamentary processes to ensure that both the policy and the regulations are aligned. Chair and members, you are aware that we recently indicated that we are amending at least two policies, which is the military veterans benefit regulations, as well as the burial regulations. So that is then to correct this misalignment so that then we can then apply consequence management and then request for condonment from the relevant functional department, which is National Treasury. In addition to those, we were utilizing telephone service, which was not properly contracted for at the time of acquisition. To rectify that, we are then looking at other options of ensuring that a proper procurement process is followed so that this can be removed, Chair. But in addition, on the cumulative irregular expenditure in the department, Chair, that links to consequence management, Chair and members. Overall, in terms of Part E of the annual report, on page 83, Chair and members, we have a table that details the makeup of irregular expenditure. Table 1.1b on page 83 will then distinguish between irregular expenditure that is under assessment for the 24-25 of 37.5 million, as well as confirmed irregular expenditure of 257 million, as was indicated by Honorable Kalni House. Of these 257, which is confirmed, Chair, it is important that the committee notes that the majority or the greater amount of it is historical. And around 90 million in addition to historical are transactions that relate to the recent transactions, which Chair mentioned, and Honorable Hatting, which were issues around the roller drum machines, as well as the tablets that were procured by the department. Tablets, they equate to around 54 million. The roller drum machines are around 27 million. So the committee should note that all of these matters are the matters that the department has also referred them to the SIU for assistance with a forensic investigation so that consequence management can be applied appropriately. We note the notes and the remarks by the Honorable Chair that they have also instructed all those bodies, including AG, to then just refer those matters so that we get independent investigation rather than the department investigating itself. That will ensure that there is impartiality as well as there is completeness of recoveries that has to be implemented. We appreciate that intervention, Chair. I must also then refer to these key areas, Chair, because it's what AGSA is insisting that the DMV should address. It's around consequence management, Chair. As I've indicated, consequence management as per AG, they refer to all matters that are sitting in our annual report as either irregular or under assessment. Management will by Q3, when we report, Chair, then start demonstrating in terms of the work that we are planning to do, Chair, so that come at the end of 31 March, there is reasonable progress that has been achieved in terms of consequence management, Chair. In terms of completeness of information, Chair, mostly on performance. Again, Chair, as Mr. Siango has already indicated, we are now working on our audit action plan. Presently, the systems are manual, Chair. We are hoping that in medium to long term, we would have turned that corner, because every report and every single deliverable that we are reporting against is information that is coming from the system. So going forward, medium to long term, we will then ensure that there is verifiable output information. But short term, in line with our audit action plan, we even discussed it yesterday at MANCO. We will then standardize our reporting templates, Chair, because we have realized that most of inconsistency is driven by the fact that we are using Excel template to report. We are not equally competent with Excel. We don't have equitable skills, some of us. Some are more advanced than others. But if we use a standard reporting template, it will ensure that there is elimination of duplicates, duplicated information, incomplete information, such as basic information like ID numbers, because that's where we are found wanting by Auditor General at the present moment, Chair. Just to confirm, Chair, in terms of the qualification area from the previous year, of the 23-24, Chair, it was around the completeness of the disclosure on asset register. As already noted by the Auditor General, we were able to then disclose completely in terms of the asset value of the assets that we hold as the department. The issue of the roller drum machines is beyond the completeness of information, Chair. It only relates to irregular expenditure that has now been classified as material irregularity, Chair, which means that there were serious potential offenses in that aspect. Maybe, Chair, I can just talk quickly on the issue of capacity. It is important for the committee to note that we have good intention, Chair, in terms of insourcing internal audit unit. At the moment, we do not have the director internal audit. We do not have the admin internal audit. We do not have the deputy director risk management. In addition, because it will also talk to the issue of consequence management, Chair, we do not have legal services, both the deputy director and the director. We do not have director human resources management. The audit committee would have made comments in the past to say, why are you outsourcing this service when you have vacant posts? Presently, we are in continuous engagement with Department of Public Service and Administration. We are not allowed to fill any vacant post, Chair, regardless of any level. They said you can only fill the DG post, any other post until you have an approved structure, because we are presently working on the so-called interim structure that was approved in 2010. So as part of reviewing the service delivery model, as was indicated by Mr. Siengo earlier, we are then working towards also finalizing the organogram with DPSA. However, Chair, I must emphasize, we are not allowed to fill any post, despite us pleading for at least filling the critical and generic post. Generic post, Chair, I'm referring to any government department must have internal audits. Any government department must have legal services. Any government must have the Director of Human Resources, for instance, Chair. At the moment, we are not allowed, meaning that even for the year under review, Chair, 25-26, at this stage, we do not have the Director Legal Services and the other structures within that unit. And hence then, we will then opt for outsourcing until the issue of filling the post is resolved with DPSA, Chair. I thought I should then just emphasize on that one, which is a hindrance at the moment, Chair. I would like to just end it at that for now, Chair. I hope to have covered all the areas related to finance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll now hand over back to the acting DG.
Thank you, Chair.
Other members.
Thank you, Chair. With me, I have Ms. Murolo, who's going to deal with issues of health. Her gadget was not working, that's why she couldn't respond at the time. Over to you, Ms. Murolo.
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, DM, and good morning, ADG and the colleagues. The issue of, I'm responsible for the healthcare of military veterans. I'm Ms. Tolisa Murolo. Currently, in the previous financial year, we have 17,943 military veterans authorized to access healthcare. The access to healthcare is done through the SAMS healthcare facilities in line with our MOU with SAMS. And SAMS has service partners where there are issues of accessibility to healthcare facilities. Equally, additional to that, we also have assistance that we provide to military veterans that are having capacity problems in terms of traveling to healthcare facilities, i.e. people that have disabilities or some healthcare conditions that will make it impossible for them to transport themselves to healthcare facilities. We are aware of the inefficiencies relating to the accessibility of the healthcare facilities, the SAMS healthcare facilities. Hence, SAMS uses its service partners to ensure that there's a national footprint of facilities where military veterans can access healthcare services. Additional to that, the department through the ministry has engaged SAMS to incorporate military veterans in their review of the service delivery model, whereby military veterans are going to have an equal footing in access to healthcare, as is the case with serving soldiers, retired soldiers that are from the former statutory forces, and military veterans in general. Additional to that, because of the inherent double dipping that is emanating from absence of ICT systems that we have integrated systems, the DMV has also noted in the delivery of this benefit that there is potential double dipping where members that are employed by the state are eligible for medical cover from the state, opt not to take that cover and apply rather to the department to be provided with that with healthcare services, which causes a huge burden, financial burden to the department, as is evident in the expenditure towards the healthcare. So what we have done as a department, we have embarked on an exercise to review the healthcare regulations so that we strengthen the issue of means testing, and we also ensure that people that had an opportunity to benefit for healthcare are excluded from the healthcare benefit for military veterans, so that we can serve the real deserving members and make sure that the budget is adequate to provide such benefits, as we've been experiencing serious budget cuts in the past. And the healthcare expenditure seems to be rising while we are awaiting the implementation of the National Health Insurance. We also have participated in the provincial we are we are participating in the engagements with provinces through the offices of the premiers on the MOUs that are already have been signed by the department to be enabled to have assistance from province at provincial level, so that military veterans that are residing within those municipalities and provinces are having especially issues of chronic medication and chronic health care in areas that are near their communities. That's one of the mechanisms that we have implemented, that we are embarking on to ensure that there's accessibility of services. I think that is all that I can say insofar as the healthcare benefit is concerned. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, can I invite Mr. Siengo to deal with issues of the transversal team and any issue that deals with performance information? Over to you, Mr. Siengo.
Thank you, DG. Good morning again to Chairperson and honorable members, and to you, DG, and the officials. The transversal team has been appointed, and they started operating as from the 15th of October 2025. So that's the report I can give, DG. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Siengo. Chair, we will provide information on SANVA and the preparations of member association conferences leading to the SANVA conference. Basically, we will provide a Rose 2 conference of SANVA, which will be within the prescribed court order, which is expiring on the 4th or 6th of January, would have done that. With that, issues that were raised also by Honorable Anna, insofar as the exact benefits in provinces and who the list of beneficiaries and their member and their associations, we will provide also that information in writing. Over to you, Chair. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, DG. From my side, I would request that whatever we have discussed, can we have deadlines? Can you also get a roadmap of all member associations, including the seating of the conferences? One point members asked that was not clarified. It's in relation to the funding of the member conferences. I'm not sure whether you can update the committee what is happening, because we saw a march to our offices of MKLWV raising the issue of funding of their conferences. And I'm sure wherever they are, they may be preparing a court action related to the non-funding of their conferences, which is, according to the Act, our responsibility. So I'm not sure whether can you clarify the meeting, because I'm sure it's MK, LWV, APLA, it's former members of SADF, former members of Want to Stand Defense Forces, all those member associations that falls within our ambit. Are there funds allocated for them? I'm aware that you will send us a written roadmap of all the conferences in line with the court order, because in our case, as an arm of state, there is no way that we can disrespect the High Court order, which is from the judiciary as an arm of state. We must promote that statecraft, and we can only do it through your cooperation. And that's why we are confident that that must be done, because we're not running a charity. We have a contract of employment with yourselves. So you can't play victim. You must just do your work. Can you come in before we proceed to the summary?
Thank you, Chair. Just to update the committee, currently the department has facilitated and funded provincial PECs, excluding KZN. It has not yet given the department the date in which they would want to have their own provincial PEC meeting. We have, starting from the 6th of November, we will be funding and facilitating member association conference that is underway, and we are working close with SANVA. Just on the issue of SANVA being disbanded, Chair, we had reached an out-of-court settlement with SANVA. So SANVA is back in office, and we are working close with them. The reason why MKLWV protested in the steps of DMV, I would want the members to note that the department, in terms of the conference, was prepared to fund them 130, just like all other associations, but their demand was that we should fund 500, which in fact started from 1,500, and they then reduced that number to 1,000, and they were now reducing it to 500. But the agreement that we have with them is that we will find 250. So discussions are ongoing with all member associations. We don't foresee any challenges in terms of roads leading to SANVA conference. Yesterday, but one on Sunday evening, I had a meeting with the MKLWV, and we agreed that we will facilitate their conference. That will be all for now, Chair, but we will provide a written response so that it is clear which province is having its conference when and the venue. We will provide that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we move to the way forward, is there any submission from Honorable Retired General Bantu Olumisa, as the member of the executive present here, your commitments?
Chairperson and honorable members, the commitment I can confirm here is that I will report all the issues raised by the minister. I will report to the minister all the issues raised by the honorable members. You must remember that I'm standing in this position for the Deputy Minister, Mkungo, who is busy elsewhere today, but I will submit a written report to them and also copy one to yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Olumisa and the delegation from the department. The department, our meetings are recorded for purpose of any court action. If you want any questions we have asked in the past, and President, I would request that through our committee secretariat to request Parliament to give you those recordings so that you can follow our meetings with yourselves, including questions which were asked by members, and answer to them so that we don't dilly-dally or manage each other, because so far we are at a red line where we have undermined the authority of Parliament. For example, there was a commitment on the appointment of the DG. There was a commitment on the completion of the database verification. There was a commitment of the MOU between yourselves and the Housing Department. There was a commitment in relation with the Department of Labor in terms of the skills fund to empower and assist some of the veterans to exit from being the responsibility of the department, that we put them on a training program, both entrepreneurial, artisans, and education. The skills fund is lying there with over 80 billion rand underutilized. So if you run short of the budget, just be innovative and creative to look at that. We have agreed with you that where possible, you can do collaborations with universities, especially universities with military academies, to assist us with their research and look at how best we can integrate our system through electronic system, integrate the management of the database of the veterans through the Home Affairs. All those proposals we have made to you as a committee. And so far, I hear you saying that we must even write again back to you. I'm sure we can refer you to our records, but I would request the Secretariat to send you an action list of all decisions we took related to yourselves, or even related to the department, so that you follow what we have agreed upon and what is outstanding, so that all those things are done. We don't have to push each other as if we don't understand each other. Ours, it's a working relationship. Ours, it's the growth of the nation. And unfortunately, that our department deals with national security, even in terms of how we manage public funds. It needs to be done with the necessary discreet and meticulity so that we don't individuate our problems to either acting DG or to the minister, but rather as a collective who work towards the improvement of the department. The issue related to the organogram, I mean, it has been there since the 10th of July last year. It's only now on the 15th of October, over a year later, that we are moving on it. I mean, we're told about the presidential task team and the work we have done from the previous deputy president, the late D.D. Mabuza, may his soul rest in peace. So it's a continuation of work. So every time we meet, none of us must play victim. We're expected to report on our work because we are earning from the taxpayers' money, and we serve here at the behest of the voter and the taxpayer. We also serve a community of military veterans who, some of them are destitute, are roaming the streets because DMV can't perform. You may have an unqualified, but an unqualified that does not translate into service delivery is not enough. We are happy, we commend you for improving, but I'm sure there's a room for us to improve and be much better. So let's go to the Castle Control Board before I allow members to come back with parting ways. Over to you, CCB. Can you answer questions?
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson, and thanks to the honourable members who posed that very direct questions. Let me start with the big one, because I think at least three members have asked that, is the 1.92 billion audience that we reach globally. We can do it this way. Either I sent the report, Indian report from the Independent Media Monitoring Company of last year, or I sent you the last quarter report, Chairperson. I commit to do that instead of us now trying to have a technical discussion on that, if you and the members agree to that. Then secondly, in terms of the sustainability, the phasing out of the DOD subsidy and the sustainability project that we have, the strategy that have been in place. So already a couple of years, in fact, during COVID, Chairperson, we put in some research to develop what we call a sustainable and a responsible commercialization plan for the castle. I'll speak briefly to like 5 elements of that, but the one you correct. The one is to intensify our marketing in all areas, whether it's in Parliament, whether it's in the schools, universities, overseas, to intensify that. And I must say, now that we have our marketing coordinator in place, who is a young woman with particular skills in social media, we see returns in terms of that, and that also is reflected in the media monitoring report that I was speaking about. Then conferencing and events. You visited the conferencing facilities at the castle. I need to commend again Chief Locke. We are busy installing fiber at the castle in a historic first. So all of these video conferencing and hybrid conferencing, we add that now as an additional package. And also, if visitors come in, their cell phones will automatically go onto our welcome note in our website. So there's huge investments already in that. We've also revamped our website through the CETA, and so there's a lot of effort. So that's one of the main tenets of our commercialization strategy. And conference and events. Then what carried us for the past 5 years, I would say, Chairperson, is the commercial events and the filming, the movie shoots that we have here at the castle. Now, obviously, they go through the city events department, where they're getting their permits. But what is now exciting about that, when they apply for their permits, they also have to declare the people that they will employ, the medics, the security guards, the support staff, etc. So that also helps us to drive the job creation KPIs that we have in this year's APP and annual report. Then the issue of rentals is very important. We do rent out the venues, but not at the level where we want here. So this is an area that we can bring in our partners, as you yourself said earlier, that we can bring in our partners and see how they do it in other countries or other parts of South Africa, so that we really consolidate that. Then the question of the restaurant and the other catering facilities at the Bakkies, it's a perennial question. I went through 5 chairpersons that committed to resolve that issue, to merge us in the Bakkies, so that we have one point of sales to the clients. But my chairperson has committed that he will do it in his term. So from a oversight point of view, if you can, that should be one of your main areas that you watch. We also have limited accommodation. We have 2 we call it VIP flats. They're not looking like VIP flats yet, but we have inquiries from visitors to have an evening sleep out at the castle, etc. So that's another area that we can work on. And then in the partnerships, of course, we have many partnerships. We have partnerships with Dutch Culture, with the Goethe Institute, with Robben Island locally, with Table Mountain. The issue that we have to deal with is the nature of our entity. We are Schedule 3A public entity, and it allows and disallows you to do certain things. And especially when you want partner with outside partners who want to invest in you, whether private sector, public sector, overseas, that is an inhibiting factor. But I think we can review, in the review of our founding legislation, we can deal with that. And then I mentioned this in the presentation, if the regional works unit is fully fledged, developed, and they have the capacity, I think their contribution here, if they can almost take over all the maintenance and repair work, because they have the artisans and the laborers, then it will also help us do that. So those are the 6 or 7 tenets of that. The board has to apply their mind to that. There are 2 members on site. They can speak to that further, but that's what we plan their plan. We're already starting to do that in terms of moving towards, say, sustainability. Then the issue of the AG Auditor General checklist, I will leave that to the chairperson of the audit committee, who is still on, and Mandla Ngehu, the CFO. The UNESCO issue is a double-edged sword. I remember our previous minister said it will put, if we go for that listing, it will put onerous burdens on us in terms of compliance, in terms of that. It brings a lot of marketing and other support, but we need to look, to look at that. But the board is considering that. In fact, we have a board meeting on Thursday considering how we deal with that. Partnerships, I've spoken about the partnerships. We have global partnership with Chinese Archaeology Society, St. Petersburg's University, so both in the global south and the global north, to deal with that, to deal with all of our issues. Maybe Mandla and maybe the chairperson, Advocate Dave Mitchell, can climb into the AGS checklist and for sustainability. Thank you for now.
Mandla?
Okay. Good day, Chair, DM, honorable members, and the DG. The issue we had in terms of the findings with the Auditor General was mainly 3 issues, which we hope we will not have in future, because we want to get a clean audit report. The first issue, I think we made an error, because in terms of awarding a contract to a service provider who had scored lowest in terms of price, but the BE scores were quite low. I think it's understandable, because the first one decided not to take up the contract, so is the second one. So it was issued between the 3rd and the 4th suppliers. The one with the lowest price did not score well in terms of the specific goals of BEE. That's where we made an error. The second one, a contract of about, advertisement RFQ of about 13,000 Rand was placed for less than 14 days. So that the AG found an issue with that, but we had all the other compliance documents in place, but the AG felt the time of advertisement was way too short than the prescribed minimum time. And the other one was a 4,000 in terms of the debt that had been long outstanding. I think we've been communicating with the service provider in terms, with the creditor in terms of with the debtor in terms of the collection, but it was not formalized. So the auditor found an issue that we are not following up on the 4,000 Rand of long outstanding debt. So those are basically the main issues that the auditors found in terms of irregular expenditure. And we've discussed with the AG on the way forward, so that we have a checklist of all of our procurement to ensure we comply with the prescripts in future. And we do that on a quarterly basis. We will report regularly to the Audit and Risk Committee, as well as to the board. We also have the services of internal audit, and they're looking through our processes to ensure that we're all aligned and on our way to receive a clean audit in future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
You can proceed, sir.
Chair and honourable members, just to endorse the comments from the CEO and the CFO, The audit committee has been strengthened. We brought in some new people, including some very strong people on supply chain management and procurement. One lady in particular who actually provides consulting and training services both to the Auditor General and to National Treasury. And we will enhance the understanding so that we actually don't just slip up on the small items. That is the difference between a good audit and a perfectly clean audit. So we will come back to you should there be any changes and any processes, but we do not anticipate having these issues in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. You can switch off your camera. Thank you very much, Mr. Michel. Those were the answers from the board and the DMV and the CCB. I'm sure the board of the DMV of the CCB will tell us in terms of the approach towards alternative funding going to the future. The issue of military museum, military heritage, it's a national pride of any nationality and any nation. And I think it's a matter we all need to own, because I know if you say you outsource the Castle Control Board or you sell it, I know AfriForum would be the first institution to offer an offer to purchase. So I don't know, is that what we would want? But it's not for me to draw conclusions for now, but to allow the board as the responsible authority in terms of their fiduciary responsibility to bring a proposal to us as the portfolio committee in terms of the way forward related to alternative funding. I know, for instance, even a simple town hall or even a simple building of Victorian architecture or Dutch architecture, there are organizations in the country that may want to take ownership of them. Is that what we want? Or do we want some of these buildings and heritage sites to belong to the state? It's a debate we need to engage on as the portfolio committee, because I know even Trump would want to buy the Castle Control site if we sell it, or any other rich oligarch in the world who may have an interest. And once they take over, they would bring and dictate who must be in and who must be out, and you can't blame them. But we would have given our authority in terms of preserving the heritage, because that's why I'm asking precisely, is there a relationship between the Castle Control Board and the National Lottery Commission, or the Heritage Resources Council, or their relationship with the City of Cape Town, their relationship with the provincial government of Cape Town, their relationship generally with the national government, which it is through us. But we need to see how we strengthen the Castle Control Board where possible, bring some site of military museums which are elsewhere in other provinces in the country, because history is not only in Western Cape, it is throughout the country, and we need to know how we expand to preserve even the national liberation heritage route and resources. But we can discuss that in another day when we have time. But I would request that we work closely with institutions of higher learning in terms of research and science, because most of them are ahead of us as the department, as boards, including as the portfolio committee. Recently, we attended a discussion at the University of Stellenbosch. The research material that was done there, we don't have it even as the portfolio committee. But I think in collaboration with them, they are even ready through the vice rector there, Professor Tsetle, to share notes with us at no fee or at no cost to the department or even to ourselves as the portfolio committee. So I think those are some of the collaborations we can work on. I'm not sure, is there any other input from members? before we move to our next agenda item. Honorable Niaus, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to deal with three issues. The one that really concerns me as the first issue is the problems that we have with the provision of housing, also the pension fund and medical provisions. And all of this relate to the conditions under which our military veterans are living. So we really need to find the funds, Chair, to be able to provide in these benefits. We cannot sit here and say to each other when the Military Veterans Act provides for these benefits, there's no funding for it. So, and in further engagement with National Treasury, also with the Minister of Finance, is critically necessary. And of course, related to this is the finalization of the database. You spoke extensively about it today, Chair. It cannot be that we have an open-ended situation with regards to the finalization of the database. Chair, then with regards to SANBA and the other military veterans associations, I would request us to get from the department a detailed in writing commitment about a schedule when these various conferences are going to be held. It cannot be an open-ended situation. It cannot be how long is a piece of string. SANBA, we heard, is back in office after there'd been an out-of-court settlement. But we need the SANBA conference as soon as possible. And of course, it cascades up from the other military veterans associations to the SANBA conference. Chair, then finally, we need an answer from the executive. When will the next permanent Director General of the Department of Military Veterans be appointed? It is left open-ended in this discussion today again. And it links also with all the other senior positions in the department where there are acting people. I want to refer in closure, Chair, to what Major General Bantu Olomisa, retired, said when he said to me, Honorable Carl, this is not what we fought for. It is not what we fought for, Chair. The report that we received today and the lack of services to military veterans is not what we fought for. I was wrapped over the knuckles earlier for having spoken for quite a long time at the beginning. I do not apologize for that. I was presenting the concerns that had been raised by military veterans who come to me and who express their pain. People who are suffering, people who are elderly, many of them who will probably pass on before they see a pension or before they see the benefit of the house that they are in fact entitled to. And honestly, Chair, I'm not going to be told by a former benefactor of apartheid and a former defender of apartheid who's now acting like a security policeman with a stopwatch how long I must speak. I'm talking on behalf of military veterans who are suffering and dying. This must come to an end. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Niehaus would not want us to get off the line in terms of our meeting. Other matters, I think we can reserve them for our engagement as the committee. I would still want us to debate on many things, from the Castle Control Board to the future of the Defence Force we need to have, because we still have the Defence Review Plan outstanding. We still have the Journey to Greatness outstanding. They have not been updated. We have requested that we get a plan of the National Defence Force for the next 30 years up to 2050. that we have not received. I would not also want us to point each other and point fingers at each other. I think we can engage at another level on other issues, including on matters that we are raising, so that we ensure that all members are fully covered and protected in our meeting. Honorable Blackies, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I've heard the explanation on the issue of the human settlements. I will just want to get clarity on what level municipalities engage on the issue of human settlements, because I know in the Western Cape there's a serious problem with the issue of human settlements and the integration of veterans into the municipality systems. So I just wanted to check what level is this engagement? And Chair, if it is possible, can we get the responsible people working especially on the human settlements in the department? They send people from post to be petered, and that is not going to help in our oversight. Thank you, Chair.
Let me allow the Deputy Minister to come in before I allow the department, both the DMV and the CCB. Honorable Olomisa, there was a question from Honorable Newhouse in terms of when is the substantive employment of the DG in the department, so that that can assist us in terms of the finalization of the organogram, because I understand what the view that the DPSA is coming from. You can't expect to deal with the body if there's no head. So you must first get the head so that the body can align to the head. And I understand the argument so that we know when is the substantive appointment, because we may talk transversal, we may talk presidential task team, but without a substantive head, we may be in the same situation even 5 years later. And that's not what we want as the portfolio committee. From the 10th of July, we made a request from the department to appoint a substantive DG. We're told September. Last year, September, we're told December. December, we're told that before the end of the financial year in March. In March, we're told that it will be in May. In May this year, we're told that it will be in July. Now, recently, in August or September, we're told that the post has been re-advertised. You will come back to us in due time. The closing date was announced, so we are not sure how far is the process related to that particular appointment of the substantive DG, and it's creating a problem from the organogram, from the filling of vacancies, and from the accounting authority in terms of public funds. Honorable Olomisa.
Thank you, Chairperson. You will get the report, as I promised, possible this afternoon. I'll send it to, the copies will be sent to your secretary of the committee, then she can distribute them. And then the minister and the deputy minister's offices as well, they will receive it. Let's say it before 3 o'clock. Thank you.
It will be appreciated, Honorable Olomisa, because we are modest as a committee. We don't want to a situation of conflict between ourselves and ourselves, because so far in all instances I've mentioned, we made committee decisions which the executive has undermined. And that in itself can breed a conflict, because we are an arm of a state. We are not a unit or a desk of the executive or even of the judiciary. We are an arm of state in our own right with full powers in terms of the Constitution of the Republic. So I think that must be our understanding, all of us, so that we don't force each other, we don't allow even others to play victim, but to ensure that there is a working relationship between the committee and the executive in terms of our oversight role. And that's what we would expect. There's no problem. We'll await your written response, but I thought I must raise it on behalf of the committee so that we don't find ourselves on conflict ways, when actually it's yourself as the executive who made a commitment. Even the last time, Honorable Mukonga made a commitment here that by August the whole process would be complete. Even till today, there's no completion. DPSA, it's saying, no, we can't move on anything until you appoint the DG. So it's creating and multiplying problems for us as the committee and as the department. And just for purposes of aligning with our fiduciary responsibilities, by now, as the committee, we need to announce to the executive, it's illegal to have an acting position for 5 years. It's completely illegal, but we hope that and trust that this time will be taken serious as a committee, because we don't want to go to the police. We don't want a commission of inquiry in the Department of Defense. We don't want even an ad hoc committee to ask who's fit for purpose or who's fit to hold the office, which is the power we have, even as the portfolio committee. We don't want to go those routes. Only yourself can push us to those levels, and I'm sure we can do better if we work together. Acting DG.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Tondoshe, can you just respond to the question raised by the honorable member on the extent of the department collaborating or working with the municipality? Ms. Sotondoshe?
Thank you, Acting DG. Thank you, Chair. The collaboration that we have with human settlements, we have different layers. Firstly, we have minister to minister collaboration where the two ministers sit and discuss issues around the housing program. We also have DG to DG meetings where the two DGs are sitting and there's discussion on the program. We also have a steering committee, which is chaired by the chief director, and it includes all the provinces, including DMV, provinces and national. We then also have provincial structures that sit at each province, and it includes all the stakeholders in the province where these discussions take place. Office of the Premiers, they participate, municipalities, they participate, including the service providers on the different projects and military veterans associations. So those are all the structures where we collaborate with the Department of Human Settlements in line with the MOU provisions and our SLAs. Thank you.
Chair, that would be all from the DMV in terms of the questions, and we still commit that we will, in writing, provide the services delivered in different provinces and associations, and we will then also commit.
July.
We commit also to provide the information on the road to conference of Sanva and all database related questions, because Mr. Matsafu is not in the meeting. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, CCB.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing from my side, except that I missed something about, there was a question around what are the inhibiting factors, to so that we don't reach the tourism numbers that we had before COVID. One of the issues that's coming up, and it's even discussed at this Military Heritage Conference, is the issue of safety and security in in this precinct that I spoke about earlier, the Grand Parade, front of the castle, the station, illegal taxi rank on that side. That I think we engage the city around it and police around it, but that's perhaps one of the oversight things that we also regularly need to report to you if there's any progress, Chairperson. Other than that, I must thank you and the honourable members and the GM for the insightful and very interesting engagement at this time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, CCB and DMV. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, but don't forget to give us written responses on outstanding matters, including the issue of all issues we have raised in the past. You can talk to the Secretariat about what is contained in the action list of all outstanding reports from your side. We have them, we record them. Our meetings are serious meetings because they involve the statute of the country, and if not properly implemented in this level, we may end up in court and courts will give us their opinions. We may end up with the executive, which may have to make a commission of inquiry, or even ourselves as an authority, we can make an ad hoc committee to investigate you. So don't push us to that particular level. We don't want to go there. We hope and trust that our working relations will make it better, not only for ourselves, for national security, also for the welfare and benefits of military veterans. We saw recently in our neighbors in Madagascar what military veterans are capable to do if not properly taken care of. They took over a country. Yesterday, they stripped off a former president citizenship, and now they're in charge through a barrel of a gun. And that in itself, if not properly managed, can lead to a civil war. So we don't want to be perpetrators of a civil war from this particular level. You need to understand and appreciate that the burden and the responsibility we carry is too much, too heavy, but it needs responsible, meticulous leadership from yourselves and from ourselves. And that's why from our side as the Portfolio Committee, I normally tell all of you that I'm not money. I don't have to be loved by all. Angimali mina. Angifanele ngithandwe ngabantu bonke. So it means that everybody must bring their side and do their work so that there can be certainty, predictability, and precision in terms of how we operate. But that's a discussion for another level. Please make all the submissions to the Secretariat. The DMS are committed this afternoon in terms of the finalization of the appointments. We'd expect it. We have a group. We have an action list that we normally update. We will make it also available to yourselves, but for purposes of recordings of our meetings, Parliament records them, their own record. If you want Hansard, you can go back to those particular minutes and recordings and find out what is it that was discussed. We can't every time write written questions to you. We've written a lot of them. We've written even questions to Parliament. We'll continue doing it, but at some point we feel undermined, and that's why we want you to go and do your work. Use Hansard, use minutes, use our action list, use your records to know what is it that the committee has asked from yourself, because you can see only yourself have to blame yourself for not complying with the DPSA. A year later, the DPSA has asked to finalize the appointment of the DG so that we can start to talk about the filling of vacancies, the re-engineering of the organizational structure and all those things. So all this cannot happen until you bring your side to the party, and you have nobody to blame. You can blame us by playing victim, but your victimhood will not help you. You are getting paid. Can everybody bring their side before we blame each other for nothing? And before there is negativity, gossiping, or backbiting for nothing when others are failing in their responsibility. So thank you very much. We hope and trust that we'll have a working relationship. We are now on an acceleration mood as the Portfolio Committee.
Directly involved.
Would request that
the ultimate use of
you be released. Honorable Olomisa, you can mute yourself. We will now allow the DMV and CCB to leave our meeting and allow the Secretariat to share the minutes so that we can conclude the business of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Chair.
much, DM. Thank you very much, DM,
Thank you.
and the DMV and CCB team. Amanda and Doctor, over to you. Dr. Steenkamp, Dr. Janse van Rensburg, and Amanda. Thank you very much, honorable members. Those are the minutes of the 27th of October. Can we move? That's the first page. Any matters arising before we move for adoption? Page 1, page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Last page, page 5. Any matters arising? Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. In the absence of any hand, can we get a mover and a seconder for the minutes? Honorable Neos.
Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Neos and Honorable Attings, for adopted. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair.
Honorable members, I would want to give over to Dr. Janse van Rensburg to update the committee in terms of our weekly activity. This week is going to be a hectic one for us. Over to you, Dr. Willem Janse van Rensburg.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to all members present. Chair and members, just a quick overview to familiarize you with this week. It's indeed a pity that due to parliamentary changes and the Minister's non-availability earlier in the program, that the whole process of the BRRR is now pushed into this week, as the discussion went as well yesterday on the WhatsApp group. Be that as it may, the deadline for BRRR submissions are on Thursday, so we are, in terms of the program, aligned with that. So just to let members know, so we concluded one department and one entity today. Based on today's discussions, I will draft the draft BRRR and send it to members hopefully later this afternoon once it's complete. And we'll also include, based on the discussions and today, we'll also include some draft recommendations that members can consider. So by later today, members will have the BRRR related to today's two engagements. Then tomorrow we have another engagement with the Department of Defense and Arms Corps. Following that meeting, I will then draft the draft BRRR for those two sections and send it to members tomorrow afternoon, again with some draft recommendations as well. And then on Thursday morning, a virtual meeting to consider those observations and recommendations by members. So we will do our best, I'll do my best to get this to members as soon as I can after a meeting so that you have time to go through it. But in terms of the layout for the week, we're done with today. You'll receive the BRRR. After tomorrow's engagement, you'll receive the draft BRRR, and then consideration and discussion on those would be on Thursday morning. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Janse van Rensburg. Dr. Steenkamp, are you in?
Morning, sir. Nothing from my side.
Yeah, but from my side, there's something. I would request that you work on a template and research for us how Department of Military Veterans works in Namibia and the whole SADC region and elsewhere in the world, so that we can advise this DMV, their story is just taking too long on points that they need to look at, and how military veterans associations works elsewhere in the world, because I saw it loose in Madagascar, and they made a coup over a democratic government. So those people are trained, armed, and dangerous. And if they are not properly fed, they can be a threat to any national security. So I would request that we work out something which is a proposal just to advise the portfolio committee in terms of what can be done best to assist the DMV, because from what I hear, they tell us what they told us last year in July, even now. So it means we don't have a progress in terms of the payments of pensions, medical health covers, housing. They still talk as if they've not met with housing department. They have not met with social development. They have not met with home affairs. There are no MOUs or collaborations with those departments to assist us deal with the welfare of military veterans. So I would request that we bring a paper, just 3-4 pages, in terms of our best, even bring a proposed organogram, learning from other countries which are doing well related to that space, because we are now 14 years as the DMV, but even till today, 14 years later, there is no conclusion of the military veterans database, including just the finalization of the verification process. And I'm sure we can do well now to assist them, because I don't think we need to only go for them. We also have the burden of responsibility to lead them in terms of the direction and shape of the welfare of our military veterans, because they just even struggle to organize a conference. I mean, a conference is the most simplest thing to organize. Maybe I've done it before. I don't know whether they are struggling. We can assist them in that regard, but your paper can assist us in terms of how best we advise them as the portfolio committee, so that we don't only demand, but also make a contribution in terms of what we expect of, because we can only inspect what we expect. Thank you very much, honorable members, the support team, the secretariat. Thank you very much for your contribution, each one of you, and we wish you well until we meet tomorrow at the portfolio committee. Enjoy the rest of the day. This afternoon we do have a sitting. It's hybrid. Members are allowed to log in. Thank you very much. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Right.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.